Where do I start? Where do I start? Where do
Wait,
I start?
before you start, I just want to say hello to everybody. If you have children, please put them in another room because the next 5 to 7 minutes may not be for them.
Yes. I'll cover your children's precious ears.
Yes, yes, you may want to because this is gonna be a hot one. Nutmeg, the floor is yours.
As always, welcome to Sunday Scaries with Bucks McGee live after the afternoon football has concluded. And, if it wasn't bad enough having three injury scares in a 4 or 5 week span, and then watching my quarterback go through season ending surgery after all that drama from Jonathan Taylor's contract, and then watching, of course, them in person absolutely do not even bother to show up against Jacksonville. It couldn't. What more could happen to this Indianapolis Colts team? Oh, I know, a pass interference call when we've got the game won, when the ball is 3 to 4 yards over the receiver's head in the back of the end zone. That is not a pass interference. That is textbook uncatchable ball. Why, NFL? Why?
Woo-wee, the NFL loves Indy, man. Whoa! This one is going to be a teaching moment. This game, the last 5 minutes, they're going to use this as teaching film for what not to do as an NFL referee.
Yeah. And you know what I would have been okay with is the fumble. I would have been okay with that being called back because they ruled empty hand going forward. I thought it was very borderline. I thought it could have been overturned just for that. But no, because this is so much worse. Please tell me something to stop myself from jumping off a bridge tonight.
I don't think there is, honestly. Maybe if it was Deshaun, maybe, but it was PJ,
The immortal PJ Walker,
who just came in and wow, like I don't even have words. Wow, I I I just don't get it. Yes, there was some grabbing on the jersey just before the ball sailed 8 miles high and 40 yards deep. All right, I get that. And that's what it looked like they based the call on. But there was no way he was catching it. Even if he caught it, he was over by the security guard. It didn't affect. There was no way that there was no play whatsoever. No reason to make that call.
I can't even say he would have landed in white. I think he would have landed in a cameraman's lap.
And it just seemed like literally every other play, flag, flag, flag. It was like they wanted Cleveland to win. I don't know what
Why?
I don't know what Jim Irsay did, but they came after you guys that last 5 minutes, and they were like, "There's no way you're winning this game. No way." Maybe they didn't like the uniforms. I like to help.
Maybe the Indy Knights just didn't vibe with the NFL for some reason, I guess.
Yep. And so instead of just slapping a fine or something, they said, "No, you just lose the game."
Yeah.
I don't know, man, because Uncle Rico, man, he balled out today. Uncle Rico balled out.
He did. I wish that was the Uncle Rico we saw in person last week.
Which makes no sense. Yeah, that probably would have helped a lot. And it was against a better defense,
right?
Which boggles the mind.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you take anything from that. Not at all. Watson goes out. They check, and the funny part is they check him. They say he's good to go back into the game. Never goes back.
Just like that 11 a.m. on Sunday. Oh, by the way, I'm not playing.
They're like, all right, you played like you played. It's good. Sit down. We want to win the game, so then let's put in PJ.
Did they think it was baseball where after you pull a pitcher, they're done for the day?
I
Oh
don't know
God.
what it was. It's just very interesting to me. That part is very interesting to me. But overall, I don't have an answer for you, man. I
I'm,
really
uh,
don't.
I'm trying to laugh myself delirious just to make myself feel better.
I don't think you have a choice. You have to, because that was just straight ridiculous. And let's say you end up one game out of the playoffs this year. This is the game.
Thanks, NFL. The game we busted our tails to come back in,
Yep.
just snatched away from us. No reason. No reason. And it was the Browns. Not the Chiefs. Not the Patriots. I mean, obviously not the Patriots this year, but historically, not the Steelers. But
Nope.
Cleveland Browns.
Your Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Yeah, the NFL wants that mess in the playoffs. The quarterback can't even play. Quarterback don't even want to play. Sure, have fun. Have fun with that, Goodell. Good job. Are you happy, Bucks McGee? Now I hate Roger Goodell just like you hate Roger Goodell.
Told you. You didn't want to listen to me. You never wanted to listen to me. Now I'm telling you. Welcome on the train, my friend. Welcome
Yep.
aboard.
Well, let's move on before my blood pressure gets too high. We talked my team. Now let's talk your team. Tampa was in a bit of a dogfight, a lot closer game than I expected today from Atlanta. Now Atlanta, we know, has a decent defense.
Mm-hmm.
They have a great running game. The issue with them is Desmond Ritter, and is he like a real NFL starting quarterback? So, but Desmond Ritter kind of balled out today. He's got a couple touchdowns on the ground. Kind of made Desmond Ritter look a little like old school Michael Vick almost. And the consistent theme of this game, like your other two losses, you couldn't run the ball. So, what happened in this game? Why did Young Hoku and the Atlanta Falcons rise to prominence over Tampa Bay?
At the end of the day, you said it. Just couldn't run the ball. Let's just be honest. In the NFL, you have to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to run the ball more than 3 yards a carry. It just has to happen, and we can't do that. I don't know what Tampa's issue is. That offensive line is better than it was last year. It just can't run the ball. I don't know if White just wants to dance in the backfield. He's just hesitant to hit the holes. I don't get it. But yeah, that's what it was. It was the run game. If you look at this game, when we actually were able to run the ball a little bit, we were able to move the ball. But you're sitting there and you're getting 1 yard, half a yard, getting blown back. No quarterback's going to be able to overcome that. So our defense played extremely well. Again, Antoine Winfield saved a touchdown. Our defense balled out, just can't run the ball. So I really think this trade deadline, Tampa really needs to look and figure something out. There are guys that are still out there. If Lenny's willing to come back, bring back Lenny, see what happens. But right now, White isn't looking to be the answer. And, I'm in chats and I'm looking at things and other fans and everyone, it's the same thing. The run game is the issue here. And until the run game is a little more consistent, you're going to have these games.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, nobody wants to play off Lenny.
There was rumor about him possibly going to visiting Buffalo, but it never happened. I don't know if it's still going to happen, but who knows? Maybe Derrick Henry ends up on the block. There's been some whispers of that. So
yeah, well, I don't know if we'll get to them in a minute, but I don't know if he wants to go to Buffalo right now.
Yeah.
Do you think now Rachaad White did have near or at 100 all-purpose yards? He did get a lot of passing yards in the game. Is it despite that, is it time to just cut the cord and move on from him?
Well, see, I think he's better as a receiving back. If you watch the game, a lot of those yards were receptions. He's able. It just seems like he's better once he catches the ball in space and he can create. He just looks better to me that way. So I don't think you have to cut, but I think you need to find yourself a back that can really, just hit the hole hard and the banger. They have this young kid, Tucker, from Syracuse, who really hasn't gotten much time. He could spell that possibly if he gets the time. You got to see what you've got. But if you're not going to do that, see what you can find out there on the market. There's guys looking for jobs. If you really feel that this team is a playoff team and can win now, then you're going to do that because White is just not the answer. And, people are dumping on the offensive line. The offensive line has been somewhat solid. Baker's been the least sacked quarterback this year. If you look at it, what it was last year, Brady was running for his life.
Yeah.
So I really feel that they've really got to look maybe somewhere else for that bruising back and keep White in, as a receiving back.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Maybe you could pluck Derrick Henry off the Titans. He's not exactly being used like we are used to seeing Derrick Henry being used.
Hey, if they'll take a third or a fourth, or third and a fourth or something, then hey, why not? You take the shot.
Yeah. And in full rebuild mode, I don't know why they wouldn't want to do that. But moving on to some other games that are a little bit embarrassing. Holy choke, Batman! These, I don't know where to start with this. At least I don't have any skin in the game with these. So, you've heard of Bloody Sunday. You've heard of Black Monday. We're going to call this Week 7, October 22nd, 2023 of the NFL season. Mm-hmm. Disappointment Sunday.
Oh, yes, and let's bring on the disappointments.
The first one we're going to take to the woodshed is the Detroit Lions. I'm not even sure they got on the plane to go down to Baltimore this weekend.
Hold one moment before you go any further. I first, though, would like to apologize to all Baltimore Ravens fans, at least for this week.
At least for 1 week, yes.
At least for 1 week, I did say that, you guys were going to be the Baltimore of old and not be able to do anything. And lo and behold, I have been corrected by the almighty great Lamar Jackson. So I apologize, as we will discuss now, the greatness that he showed us today. No, may continue.
Well, let's stick with Lamar Jackson, because if we saw this Lamar Jackson the previous 6 weeks, he would definitely be on pace for that 5,000-yard season. He threw for 357 today, 3 touchdowns through the air, 1 touchdown on the ground. So it wasn't even necessarily vintage Lamar. This was like the Lamar that everyone's been preaching him to be in his career to this point. This was the MVP Lamar.
This was the hope and pray list Lamar will show. And it's crazy that it happened against the Detroit Lions, who I sang their praises and said that they were probably in that elite tier and made me look like a fool. So, again, I'm sorry, Baltimore. Detroit, I can't handle you right now.
You're on the hook, Detroit.
Can't believe it. I have no idea what happened. Literally, it's like the light switch went on and everything that could go right for Baltimore did.
Yeah.
Like, it was Mark Andrews got involved.
I know. Another fantasy disappointment this year. Got 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. Looking like the Mark Andrews, the rivaling Travis Kelce for best tight end in the league, Mark Andrews.
Because it is National Tight End Day. Let's not forget that.
It is National Tight End Day.
So, like I said, all of a sudden, it's like for at least 1 week, the Ravens said, all right, let's show the people what we've got. And they did it against the Lions. Now, next week, they could just end up putting up 15 points and somehow pulling it out. But they were legit this week. I can't really pick anything that went wrong. They were just solid.
Yeah, it seems like every receiver Lamar threw to got loose in the defensive backfield, found pay dirt. Gus Edwards looked good. Justice Hill looked good. This kid, something Mitchell, that's supposed to be the fastest player on Baltimore's team. He had a couple plays where he looked like he busted out. Everything on this Baltimore team today just looked really good. And the Lions, where's the soul searching begin? I mean, obviously, I'd say defensively they got spanked by 30-plus points, but the offense didn't really show up either. I mean, obviously they're missing Montgomery. Gibbs didn't really show up. Amon-Ra St. Brown took him at least half the game to even catch a ball, let alone get going. So, I mean, you talked about this in the pregame. You said, what's going to happen when a lot of the burden falls on Jared Goff's shoulders? So who's taking the blame here? This defense that got absolutely shredded, or this offense that just Goff had nowhere to go with the ball?
I
A bit of both.
you could sit there and blame. You could sit there and blame everybody. You could sit there and say, "All right, well, could run the ball." Believe me, I know how that feels. You could blame it on Goff and be like, "Wow, can't throw the ball." Um, I think everyone is so enamored with Detroit that I don't think you need to get whooped every once in a while to kind of bring you back down to reality, and this was Detroit's game. Like, I kind of think maybe they were like, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. Everybody loves us. We're 5-1. Here we are. And sometimes you looked a little far ahead and thought that maybe Baltimore wasn't good. And Baltimore said, don't forget us. We do have Lamar and we've got some talent here. And you got smacked. So, yeah. So now the question is how important is Montgomery to this offense?
Yeah.
Because now you really need to start using Gibbs more. I think this is partially a product of not using Gibbs as much as you have so far this season.
Yeah, he's not ready to be a workhorse back.
No. Yeah, because Montgomery was literally running straight into defenses for 3 touchdown games, and everybody was living life. And everyone should know that a running back can't do that because he's going to get hurt, as we've seen. I think Detroit probably would have been better using Gibbs more as a receiving back, which I think he's at his best throughout these games. And all of a sudden he comes back from injury and you're like, all right, here you go. You're the man now. He hasn't had I don't think he's had the reps. So, maybe Detroit needed to get a little, smacked around a bit. And now we'll see what they bring next week.
Yeah, I think this is one of those games for Detroit where you're just like, all right, here's the game tape, throw it in the trash. And I think if there's one silver lining to take out is the fact that your division is just so bad.
Yeah.
You dropped to 5-2. You're still 2.5 games at first.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, look what division we're in. Okay, let's not rest too well, but okay, we got a loss. We'll move on.
Yeah. Speaking of a loss, the next embarrassment of this disappointment Sunday, is a team you love, is a team you historically love to make fun of, and that is the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills Mafia, I'm sure, is regretting breaking a lot of tables today. They went down to their House of Horrors, Foxborough, played the Patriots, the dreadful Patriots this year, fell in a 22-10 hole. Absolutely unforgivable for this Patriots team. And this Buffalo, not this Buffalo team, but this Buffalo era, the Josh Allen era. Absolutely dreadful, inexcusable as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
They did run this all the way back and take a lead. Bucks McGee, this was one of the games you had today. What happened?
Oh, yes. So the mighty Buffalo Bills, as many people have still hung their hats on for this year. Go down 22-10, making Matt Jones look unbelievable. You're like, whoa, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Buffalo Buffalo gains some traction, comes storming back, and you're like, all right, here we go.
There's Buffalo.
Buffalo's got it together. The magic for 3 quarters in New England is over. The world is somewhat right. Incorrect. Lo and behold, the Buffalo defense felt that Mac Jones needed one more great drive to solidify his history in New England. And there you go, folks. New England knocks off Buffalo.
Ironically enough, the two defenses to make Mac Jones actually look like a reputable starting NFL quarterback, the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills.
The AFC East making Mac Jones look good.
Fortunately, Tua still did his thing, even though they didn't score 40.
Yeah, that is true. Plus, this Patriots win gives Belichick his 300th win. So yeah, a little bit of history right there
Oh, you
gives them
know
number
what?
300.
That I wish I known that going in. That was the fix right there. That was the fix right there.
That was the fix. Um, Buffalo's a fraud. I'm gonna say it right here. Buffalo is fraud. Um, I think this team, this team's window is closed.
Uh,
I think they're maybe a 10-win team, maybe 11 at best, but they'll be a one and done if they make the playoffs. I don't. I think they're fraud. I think Josh Allen tries to do way too much. Again, he's had turnovers. He's had at least eight. He's had 88 turnovers in the last I believe 4 years, and it's the most in the league. It's unbelievable.
that that blew my mind too. Actually,
But it doesn't surprise me because if you really think about it, the way he plays, red zone turnovers. There's
yeah,
always that play, one or two plays where, they'll cough the ball up because he tries to do too much. But because the last few years they've been able to overcome that and score, it's kind of like, okay, we'll put that to the side. It's red alert right now. I'm sorry to tell you, but Buffalo, you guys are in some trouble.
yeah. The way this season's gone, the way the last 2 weeks really have gone, where you almost lost to the pitiful Giants, and
Yeah.
then today, Sunday this week 7, they're they get down this huge hole, come all the way back, and then choke it away. I would not be surprised in the least if we get to week 18, the rematch with the Dolphins. The Dolphins absolutely drop a turd burger on them, and they break this Bills team up. Like Diggs throws a hissy fit, gets himself shipped out of town. Josh Allen's all PO'd, and who knows what happens to him too? Because at that point, the way the season's gone, like you said, the window's closed. They need to blow this up immediately.
Honestly, if you look at the record, I believe the Steelers are 4-2 now, so I believe they have a better record. So now all of a sudden, the whole they still run the AFC East. That's a rep.
Nope.
That's a joke. So now you're sitting there, clinging the second, even though New England's 2-5, and the Jets are whatever. If those teams get on some play 500 ball, they're catching up.
Yeah.
There's no way you could look at Buffalo and say, oh, they're going to go on a 4 or 5 game tear, and all of a sudden, there you go, they're back. I just don't feel this team is strong enough. They've had injuries, but I just don't feel offensively they are there, and yeah, they're fraud.
Yeah, they knocked me out of my Survivor League this week, so I'm all on the dump on Buffalo train.
That's what happens when you bet against Belichick. He'll take you out.
Oh! Now all of a sudden you sing Belichick's praises again.
When it comes to you, he'll take you out. You know better than that. You know better than that, Chase. You should have said, "Nah, don't do it. Don't do it."
Another potentially don't do it. Our third disappointment of the week. Here's another team that now this team is still fairly young, so they won't be blown up. But it's not going to be too much longer before the horns start blaring to blow up the Los Angeles Chargers. They had this fun little shoot it out second quarter with Kansas City. That second half took over, and the Chiefs took care of business. Travis Kelce was an animal. I don't know if he missed. I don't think he missed a single target all game. 12 catches, almost just shy of 180 yards. Found pay dirt.
No, he did drop one. He did drop one.
Okay,
because they showed him pounding the ground, and then of course they had to show Taylor, and I'm like, whatever. I'm going to the bathroom or something. I don't have time for this.
I mean, Taylor's definitely wifed up by the Trav now because she's wearing your typical lay at home eating potato chip sweatshirt.
It's like she got her own special account on NFLShop.com, and they're just giving her stuff like for real, man. Like I'm so over it. Like when they did the little handshake, him and Patrick's wife, I'm like, this is too much. I'm done with this. The stats at halftime were funny because they were like, wow, 2 quarterbacks throwing for what did they say, like 400 plus yards in a half. Well, that was great because Patrick had like 320 and freaking
by himself.
And Herbert had 150. Like really, like let's be realistic here. It's because the Chargers were that bad that Mahomes looked good. I'm sorry to tell you. They made it sound like Mahomes had this epic game and it was like incredible. And the Chargers are horrible. They're frauds too.
Big time
Let's
frauds.
let's be realistic. They need a new voice in that locker room. I'm sorry to tell you, it's time. Charger fans, you need to get a petition. I don't care what you got to do. It's time to get your coach out of there. They just don't have it. Like, I don't know how many third and longs that you can allow Patrick Mahomes to literally run up the middle of the field and there's no one around. He does it every week. You're telling me that you don't know how this goes. It's like the same movie watching over and over and over. Like, let's be realistic here. The Chargers have all this talent and you guys still can't get it right. You paid Herbert all that money. You've got all these weapons on offense. Your defense is solid, but yet you just can't figure it out. It's time for a new coach. It's horrible. They're not winning the division. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. That division, when they showed the graphic, man, that division is horrible. They make the AFC East look freaking terrific. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah, and like you said, the Chargers couldn't stop a nosebleed all day. For the first half, neither could the Chiefs. You're thinking this is going to be a high-scoring shootout. Last team with the ball wins. And the second half, they just didn't even show up.
No, and it was like because you're sitting there and you're like, okay, so they're down by one score at half. You're like, all right, but it's been a shootout, so they're going to score. It's going to go. Yeah. It was like, all right, where did the offense go?
Chris Jones was living in the backfield.
And like the Chiefs, yeah, they were moving the ball, but it wasn't like they put up another 20 points. But they didn't have to because the freaking Chargers are inept and can't do anything.
Yeah.
They couldn't run the ball the second half. Eckler was in and out of the lineup, so he's probably hurt again. Kelly all of a sudden shows up and wants to score a touchdown. It's like, wow, what happened to that when Eckler was out for 3 weeks? Couldn't do that. So I think they need a new coach. Like, it's just not working out, and it's just going to get worse.
So much for the AFC West being the toughest in football.
I'm telling you, man, we were like, oh, man, all those teams, at least 10 wins. We were like, except for Denver, we were still on the fence, but we were like 3 of those teams, 10-plus wins. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Literally, the Chiefs can play 500 ball and not have to worry about a dang thing.
No, I mean, at this point, they're going to join the Lions having this division wrapped up by Thanksgiving.
Yeah, forget about it. It's ridiculous. People were talking about how bad the NFC South was. Yeah.
No.
Look at the AFC West. Like, really?
At this point, I think maybe the Panthers could beat everyone in there aside from the Chiefs.
The Panthers could almost, well, I don't know about second place, but still, they play decently in that division. Yeah. But yeah, it was bad. That's just what I feel. I feel they need a new coach. There's talent there, but they need a new change in the culture.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of the AFC West, the dumpster fire we usually like to dump on is the Denver Broncos. They won today, and you can't.
Let's give them a hand. They beat the incredible Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, and I like it that you can't really put the Packers in the same disappointment category as the Lions, the Bills, and the Chargers this week because no one expects anything from the Packers this year. However, losing to the Broncos, the team that gave up 70 points this year just a few weeks ago.
I'm not totally surprised because at least that they have some offense. We dump on the Broncos every week because they just give us the material. It's really not that hard. But there's going to be a game or two where they win, or somehow eke one out. This was one of them, and like you said, we don't know what Green Bay is. Like they're nicked up too. You don't know what love is. This is what they're learning about what they've got, and this is a game that Denver probably should have won.
Yeah.
I think a little more by than 2 points, but hey, you take the W how you can. Right. So it was just two bad teams playing ball and won, and it was the Broncos.
Ironically enough, those are Denver's 2 wins this year in 2 games that were 2 bad teams just going at each other. They beat the
See?
Packers, they beat the Bears. Hey, if they played in the NFC North, maybe they'd be in second place behind the Lions.
Who knows, man? They might have an outside shot of the playoffs. Ooh, realignment. There you go.
Yeah.
But no, at the end of the day, it was 2 bad teams, and I guess no one's gonna talk totally bad about the Broncos for another week or so, or not as bad. And they got to win.
Yeah. What do you think? So Reed caught a touchdown today. Dobbs caught a touchdown today. Of course, 3 weeks after I got rid of him on my fantasy team. Whatever. I'm not upset. I'm not bitter about it.
Not at all.
What do you think so far of the Jordan Love experiment? How's it going? What kind of bumps in the roads happening?
I don't think he's horrible. I think it's going to take time. Like, it really is. Like, he's basically handed that you gave the keys to the car to the kid who, just got his license, and he's got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And, I think it would have been a smoother transition had he gotten some touches, last year. And, when everybody in America knew that Aaron was leaving, like, let's be realistic. You had hoped and prayed that he was going to stay, but come on now. At that point, I think this is where the organization failed. They should have said, "Hey, you know what, Aaron, if you're not down, we think you're leaving. We're gonna start giving this kid some garbage time, or we're gonna start to see what we have. If you don't like it, then hey, maybe we just trade you now." This probably would have went a little better in Green Bay's favor. But they're just gonna see what they've got. I think this team will be overhauled a lot in the offseason. You've got some guys that are getting kind of long in the tooth. They need a injection of some youth. They do on the wide receiver core and stuff like that. They got some nice young guys, Watson, Dobbs, and stuff. So you're just gonna have to just play with what you've got. Playoffs, I don't think are a reality for this team, though. They might get hot, maybe put up 7 or 8 and sniff something by week 16. But I think they're just gonna have to see what they've got and prepare for next year.
Weirder things have happened. They played in the
as long as you see growth from him, from what he did, and let's say weeks 1 through 4, and then you say, okay, 5 to 9, okay, same situation. This is what he did week 2, week 3, but he's smarter, he's grown, he's a better option here. Week 7, week 8, he knows when to throw the ball, when not to throw the ball in the same situation. Then there's growth. They get younger, and then just you build up again. But I think that's what you want to see. They want to see the growth. And there's going to be bumps, and I think that fan base understands that, and they're going to accept it.
But hey, hats off to Denver. You got your second win. You're probably not in the driver's seat anymore.
Go Broncos! Woo!
You're probably not in the driver's seat for the number 1 pick anymore. I don't know if Sean Payton necessarily likes that, but hey, you know what? You're not going to go winless.
Dude, man, there's still like 12 more weeks in the season, man. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, they go.
Oh, yeah. So you got to slowly tank. You can't do it all quick. You don't want to sew up the first pick by week 10. That takes the fun out of it.
Royally crashing burn. Next one. This is not a disappointment because honestly, both these teams I had zero expectations going into the season for. The Rams had played above their head this year. They're missing their brand new star running back this week. They hosted the Steelers, who the Steelers had a little bit of hype, but I think most people probably question them a little bit, but they get the win here. Draws them to 4-2, tied for second with Cleveland behind Baltimore. And Najee Harris, I think you spoke something into existence. In the last 2 weeks, he finds pay dirt.
Yeah, it just took like 3-4 weeks. Okay, hooray, Najee.
Does Najee Harris get a seat on the Bucks McGee apology train?
Get out of here, no. Get out of here. Man, please. Yeah, if he scores the next 3 weeks in a row, then okay, he comes back to the table. Then I bring him back. But no, it's like that family member that shows up for a holiday, drops off a really bad plate of like hors d'oeuvres for like Thanksgiving dinner. Nobody eats it or whatever, and you're just counting the minutes till they leave. Like he is non-existent. No one cares. I'm happy Najee scored, but like he needs to be that offense. He needs to carry that offense because passing wise, they're still not there. But you get your wins when you can. You beat the Rams. I applaud you. The Rams are a fun team to watch because they throw the ball all over the place. I think the intrigue with them is from I'll be honest, a fantasy standpoint because they're just loading up guys left and right. But that team also needs to get young. I think next year you'll see them probably, especially in the draft. They need Matt Stafford's successor. It has to happen. But I'll give the Steelers their due. You won a game. You win the ones you got to win. So 4-2. Congratulations. But yeah, Najee really needs to show out a little more than just the once every 3-4 week visit to the end zone.
Yeah. What do you think about Steelers' outlook for the division? Because they're now only a half game behind the Ravens, and despite us just singing up the Ravens' praises because they look like the Ravens that everyone thought they were, they still probably have some flaws. So, what do you gauge both the Steelers and the Browns' chances to challenge Baltimore in this division?
Well, here's the deal. When it comes to the Browns, is Watson going to play? Like what's the deal with Watson? Watson's the biggest question mark. I'll be honest with you. If he's going to be like this and flaky, you go with PJ and you ride him out. Maybe these guys, are just better off with him. Maybe he's just that guy that these guys rally around and they're like, all right, you know what? Just get me the ball and I'll do what I got to do.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that far of an assumption to figure guys will want to show up for the quarterback that's actually there.
Yeah, exactly. Watson literally, I just get this weird feeling that maybe it's just not all roses there. You gave this guy all this money and he just doesn't seem to be there. I understand the shoulder thing and all, but if he passes the protocol, the concussion protocol, mid-game, in-game, why not put back your $200+ million quarterback? Maybe the game doesn't go the way it did, and you guys win it handily because this is the guy. This is the Houston guy you took because you had dreams and aspirations of the Houston Deshaun Watson, which he clearly isn't. But you gave him $200+ million. So now it's a situation of, is it going to be, okay, well, we're going to see where he's at. There's something else that's wrong with him. And PJ starting next week, maybe they're better off that way, So that's that situation. When it comes to the Steelers, I don't know. Maybe they just need to be a 19, 20-point team and hope their defense, keeps teams under 17 and they win games ugly. Because the passing game hasn't shown up yet, and that's what everybody was raving about this year. Everyone thought Kenny Pickett was going to take that next step, was going to be that guy, and you've got these receivers and such with all the talent in the world, but if Kenny can't get on the ball, it's useless, and it especially is useless if Najee Harris can't get in the end zone. If he's your cowbell back and he can't do it, then why? Then what are you going to do? Warren's decent.
Yeah.
But
Warren the ball more.
Maybe he's a guy who can, take 15 carries a game and, score a touchdown every other game at least. So I still think they're questions, but, they're both tied for second place. Baltimore did show out today, but we need to see that consistently. 3-4 weeks from now, are they going to be averaging 30 points a game with this high flying offense? Or was this, the Lions were just having a bad day and they were going to put up a stinker and this was the stinker?
Yeah. Yeah. If there's anything maybe to be optimistic about, if you're a Steelers fan, it would probably be Deontay Johnson's back now over the next few weeks. Maybe that kind of helps alleviate Kenny Pickett looking over the field. Now he's got George, he's got Deontay Johnson. Maybe that breaks up the coverage a little bit more.
Very well could, but only time will tell.
Yeah. Oh, the Giants. Who gave the memo to the New York Giants to actually be good again?
Oh, you thought this was good?
Well, I mean, 2 weeks in a row now, they almost beat the Bills, and then they this game. Like I watched this, I had this game. I was very upset I had this game, but watching, I'm like, wow, Washington's really this bad.
Yes, Washington is this bad. It was just the fact that, they put up some glimmers of hope. When these teams that are bad give these little tidbits of, ooh, could be, this is it. Then the reality hits and we're like, damn, they really did suck. Washington's another one. It's time for a new head coach.
Yeah,
Riverboat Ron had a heck of a run in Washington. Nothing but respect. He turned that locker room culture around despite what was going on in the owner's box.
yeah.
So I give him all the credit in the world, but I think it's time for a new voice there too. Washington should have won this game. I think Washington definitely has more talent. I don't know why they lost. They just played bad, point blank. They played bad, and the Giants somehow pulled out a win. I don't know. Like,
their offensive line is horrible. At one point, they flashed up a graphic to show how many times Sam Howell's been sacked this year. He is the second most sacked. The quarterback has been sacked the second most times through 7 games in NFL history. Now sandwiched right between 2 years of David Carr.
Yeah, exactly. So
that Giants defensive line lived in Washington's backfield this week.
I had no expectations for Washington to begin with. They showed some things. Like, there's definitely talent there. It's just stuff that has to grow. They're a relatively young team, but there's questions on this team. A trade deadline. Is Chase Young going to be there? There's other guys who have come up in trade talks. I think Riverboat Ron needs to go. I wouldn't be surprised if in another 2 or 3 weeks, if they start to tank, if they just don't win, if Eric Bieniemy all of a sudden becomes the interim, coach and then takes it over. So Sam Howell's got talent. Howell definitely has talent. It's just it's your first year guy. You're going to go through this. But I still felt they had enough to beat the Giants because I just don't think the Giants are good at all. They're just, that line is horrible. They just, to me, they stink. I can't. I've got nothing for them. I really don't.
If you had to put your money on it, who do you think gets fired first, Ron Rivera or Brandon Staley?
Wow. Honestly, wow.
They're both going to be plus odds for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, I think Riverboat Ron would survive because I think there's that loyalty factor to him because of what he's gone through with that organization. Yeah. So I think there'd be loyalty. What's his name there? Must just kick rocks, man. Peace out. You've literally run that team into the ground.
And on top of that, Washington had no expectations this year, whereas Chargers had a world of expectations.
They were looking. We were saying top 3 in the AFC. Like, we were like, hey, this could be the team that takes out the Chiefs. This could be a Super Bowl contending team, and they're almost in the same. They're in the same tier as the Steelers. Like, okay, like whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not scared of y'all.
Well, Chargers gonna Charger y'all. And one more. Ironically enough, we have now touched all 4 AFC West teams this show. The Raiders and the Bears, neither without their starting quarterback. Bears actually looked like a decent football team this week with this Division II stud Badgent coming out. He actually had a very efficient game. I think 21-29 or something like that. They absolutely rolled. Vegas. Hoya the Destroyer threw 2 picks. Dante Foreman rose from the ashes. Found Pater twice. I mean, there's not too much to take out of this game because they're both terrible. But, I mean, Vegas somehow is in second place in that division.
So I guess
despite this loss, they're in second place.
So basically the Raiders just suck. Regardless, they're just bad. And I don't even know. Like I said, this guy, Never heard of them. Puts out 30 on the Raiders, and that's just what it is.
How? No, I mean, I guess you can't. I guess you can't say the Bears are tanking this for both top draft picks anymore.
No, they're playing to win. They're looking for a wild card, man. The Bears are in. They're in it to win it.
Who would have guessed Matt Eberflus would still hold a locker room longer than Brandon Staley?
Either that, or he was like, "Dang it, you guys can't lose to the Raiders. What's wrong with you?" I got nothing.
No, nothing on the Bears. Just the fact that maybe they're not quite that terrible. They're like Denver. They're like Denver.
There you go. You're meh. You're all right, I guess.
All right, let's turn our sights towards this game that probably just kicked off a few minutes ago. Now, this hopefully is the shootout we expected to be, where the Chargers Chiefs game was not. After this chaos we saw this week 7, do you think that there's any potential disappointment from Dolphins and Philly?
I think, honestly, with this game, everyone's going to be looking to Jalen to see, how he performs. The Eagles' offense has kind of been a little off here and there. So if Miami gets off to that quick start and, Philly falls behind maybe a couple scores, does Philly have that offense to come back and tie it up, take the lead? Like, is this going to be like, thoroughbreds, or is this going to be something slow and methodical? I don't know. I think it's a proving ground for Jalen just to kind of get himself right. Miami, they're just going to continue to do what they do. Try to put up the points. Tua will be efficient in what he does. I'm excited to see how this game plays out. But no, these two teams right now are the class of the NFL, and we're going to see what it's all about.
Yeah, hopefully the script doesn't steal that from us, because you know how it's supposed to be a shootout and it winds up being 13-10, and then the struggle bus of Cleveland, Indianapolis that was supposed to be winds up giving us 80-something points.
All right, I'll give you like a week to get over this, but there's going to be a point. You got to let it go, man. I told you. It is. It's tough, but you know what? Take a couple days. I understand. This one was rough, and I totally get it, bro. I get it, but
this close to a victory Monday and a solid second place position.
You never think about a victory Monday till there's a victory.
That's right.
I love the NFL.
So that's why we love it. All right, Bucks McGee, we got a game to watch. Everyone, stay tuned if you missed this show to our Monday morning quarterback wrap-up show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I guess we'll see you next week, huh?
Oh, yeah, man. Week 8. Woohoo!